Allah, there is no God except Him, the alive, the eternal. He has revealed to you, Muhammad, the scripture with truth, confirming that which was revealed before it, even as He revealed the Torah and the Gospel before a guidance to mankind, and He has revealed the criterion of right and wrong. Those who disbelieve the revelations of Allah, theirs will be a heavy doom. Allah is mighty, able to requite the wrong. When the Qur'an represents Christian teaching, it does so wrongly in order to refute it. But if you're representing somebody wrongly and then refuting that, that's a straw man argument. If you're addressing a straw man, it's not the actual truth about Christianity in the Quran, and it's refuting that rather than what Christians actually believe, and that's really important. But the New Testament is filled with quotes of the Old Testament. Right throughout the Gospels, you'll see many quotations of how Jesus fulfills all those things. Even just in his death, he fulfilled many prophecies. Isaiah 53 is just one of many other scriptures that are fulfilled from the Old Testament as he died there on the cross. And the Old Testament also talks about his resurrection as well. And the Quran calls Jesus Messiah, but it gives no meaning to the title, because to Muslims today, Jesus is just another of the prophets. They acknowledge that he was born miraculously and he did many great miracles, he even raising the dead. But to them, he's just another messenger, because the Muslims exalt Muhammad above Jesus and any of the other prophets. But the Quran shows no familiarity with those prophets. It mentions some of them by name, but it also mentions 124,000 prophets that we don't know the names of, we don't know the books of, and they are non-existent or lost. So the Quran is dependent on the Bible for much of its information on history and such. And that's probably why Allah in it, or whoever wrote the Quran, affirms the Bible, because the Quran is very much dependent on the Bible for its history and in prophecy and in many other things. Own authority is assumed because it knows and presumes the authority of the previous scriptures, the Gospels, the Torah, etc. So we can see from this scripture that there's no evidence for any kind of corruption or changes. And the whole idea of the charges of corruption is a claim made just by modern Muslims. You won't find it in Sahih Muslim, you won't find it in Sahih Bukhari or even Ibn Kathir. But why? Because we have manuscripts, we have old Bibles that predate Islam. They predate Muhammad in the 7th century, and there are Bibles from during the same time and since, and there are no changes in doctrine and teaching in the Bible there. There's absolutely no evidence for corruption or changes. Who could have done it? How could they do it? Because scriptures are scattered all over the world. For instance, if in the Quran I write something in there, it doesn't mean the Quran's corrupt, because there's so many other copies where it shows that what I've just written in there is not there. So I cannot corrupt the Quran in that sense. Neither can anyone corrupt the Gospel and the Torah, etc. No one can corrupt Allah's word if they are Allah's words, if Allah is God. No one can do that according to Surah 18 verse 27. So this charge of corruption has come about with the increasing number of Muslims realizing how much the Quran contradicts those previous scriptures. And obviously, Muslims would rather have the Quran be the criteria for all scripture than the Bible, even though the Bible is more consistent and it highlights the Quran's errors or misinformation. There is no connection of the Quran with the Bible, despite those affirmations it makes. And we looked at those affirmations last time. There is nothing in the Quran that says the Bible in any form or shape has been corrupted. Now, on top of that, with the availability of these hadiths and many Islamic sources, and the most authentic of them on the internet available now, lots of people are delving into it and they're finding lots more about Muhammad, about the early days of Islam, about traditions and its origins in pagan worship, etc., and the origins of the Kaaba. We're finding out so much more through history, and and it only shows that the Quran and those early Muslim sources, they contradict not only the Bible but history and science and anything else that it addresses. So this brings us once again to the Islamic dilemma. If the Bible is corrupted, then Islam is false, because the Quran directs believers to Gospels as Allah's own revelations, which it shouldn't do if they are false and if they are corrupted. Or if the Bible is not corrupted, then Islam is still false, because the Quran contradicts the very Gospels it refers to as scripture, truth, guidance and light. Well, I hope you've got a lot out of tonight's message, and I hope you've been blessed by it. And read those verses again and have a look for yourself. I'm not just making things up. I have looked at these and just thinking from a layman's perspective. I'm not pretending to be a scholar. I don't know Arabic, and I know that most Muslims don't know Arabic either. But you can take a text and any language can be translated into another. Maybe not perfectly, but enough to get the message across. So that's what we're doing. We're going to be examining the many more verses from the Quran in future episodes, and I hope you join us then. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, click the little bell icon, and we'll be with you with another verse making sense of the Quran. Take care, God bless, bye-bye.